guys, it's Miss Coker. This week we are going to learn about lines and shapes, and it is a lesson to show you that anybody can draw. A lot of times I hear people say, I can't draw, but if you can write letters, write numbers, write your name, then you can draw. Drawing can be taught, and it's all about learning the elements of shape, okay? I've uploaded this worksheet, and if you can make dots and circles and lines, then you can draw. And I'm going to teach you how to look at things and how to identify the shapes in them, and then how to break that down and how to draw. So the lesson that we're starting today is going to be a two-part lesson. So you'll draw today, and then you'll hold on to it, and we'll add color to it next time. Okay, so make sure you don't lose it. Have a folder or something to put it in. You are going to be using a Sharpie if you have it, a black Sharpie, and there are some Sharpie rules that you have to follow, okay? Sharpies are permanent markers. You cannot color on anything except the paper that we're using. You cannot smell the Sharpies. Sharpies are permanent markers, which means they have a chemical in them, and they have a really weird smell to them, and some people like to smell those. Well, that can be dangerous to you if you do that too much. So the rule in the art room is, if I see you smelling a Sharpie, you're telling me that you're too young, you're too much of a baby still, and that you should not have a permanent marker. So I'll take that permanent marker from you until you show me that you have some control and that you understand it can be dangerous for you, okay? So make sure you're using it responsibly. If you don't have a Sharpie, totally fine. Use a black crayon, okay? And the reason I want you to use a crayon instead of a black marker is because black markers, when they get wet, or any kind of these markers when they get wet, they run. And we're gonna be adding some water to it later, and I don't want your drawing to run. So black Sharpie or black crayon, either one. I have uploaded a worksheet, this worksheet for everybody, and then a second worksheet for my 4th and 5th graders. So make sure you check out all of the attachments that are with the lesson today. And remember that it's recorded, so if I go too fast, you can pause it. Take your time doing your drawing, and then hit play or rewind it, okay? Don't ever feel like, oh, she's going too fast, I can't do this. Just pause me. I'm always there, okay? I want you to take your time. I want you to do your absolute best work. Nobody should finish this in 10 or 15 minutes. It's just not possible. It took me forever, and I've been teaching art for 20 years, okay? So best work, keep it neat, and I can't wait to see him next week, okay? So here we go. I hear a lot of students tell me, I can't draw. I don't know how to draw. I don't draw very well. We're gonna change that phrase. We're gonna change that way of thinking. Anybody can draw. Anybody in the world. If you can write a number, if you can write a letter, if you can write your name, if you can draw a circle, you can draw a picture. It's all in how you look at something. And if you know these elements of a shape, and there's just 5 of them, then you can draw. So we're going to learn those today, okay? So the first group that we're going to talk about is called the dot and the circle family. It's these two families right here. This first one is called the dot family. The second one is called the circle family. Now look at those two families. What do you notice about those two families? If you said they have all the same shapes, you're absolutely right. In both families, they have the same shapes. They have a circle, they have an oval, they have an ellipse, and they have a kidney. What else do you notice about them? One of the families is colored in, one of the families is not. So the family that's colored in, that's our dot family, okay? So if we're drawing a picture and I tell you to draw me a small dot, then you know that by me using the word dot, that you should draw a circle and then color it in, because I said dot. If I say draw me a small circle, you're gonna draw me something that looks like this, and you're not gonna say, but Miss Coker, do I color that in? Because we've just learned our vocabulary, and if I had wanted you to color it in, what would I have told you to draw? That's right, I would have said, please draw me a dot. So art vocabulary is very important to learn. So if I ask you to draw a dot, you're gonna do what? Color it in. If I asked you to draw a circle, you're just gonna leave it empty, okay? Another thing to notice about these two families is there are no straight lines or pointy corners anywhere. They're all curved, okay? So keep that in mind. Now we're gonna talk about the line families. These are some of my favorites. This right here, this is the straight line family, okay? No curved edges, no pointy corners. They're just going in straight lines. Some of them are thin, some of them are thick or bold. They can go sideways, they can go up and down. They can go this way, which is called diagonal. They can hang out together in groups, like families do. This is called a dashed line. Some people call that a dotted line, but we just learned that dots are circles that are colored in. Does that look like a dot? No. So start calling this a dashed line. That's what that means. Small line segments put together. Line segments. What other course that we study do we use the word line segment? If you said math, you get a point. Good job. All right, so that's the straight line family. The curved line family, you guessed it, there are no straight lines anywhere in there. They're all curved, okay? Curved, curve, 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 curve. This is my favorite. This is called the spiral or the swirl, however you want to call it. I'm going to teach you the coolest thing about the swirl. A lot of people draw a swirl like this. They'll start out here and they'll go in, which is great, but that's as big as your swirl can be. If you will start your swirl in the middle with just a dot and then take that dot on a walk in a circle, watch this. Then my swirl can get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it can get as big as I want it to be before I stop it, but only if I start in the middle. If I start on the outside and go in, it can only be that big. Okay, so that's how you draw a swirl, and that swirl is part of the curved line family. All right, last line family, the angled line family. There are no curved lines in here. It's made up of straight lines that come together to form a point, okay? So we've got this line here. What's that look like? An upside down check mark, yep. So it goes up, comes to a point, and goes off at another angle. What letter does this look like? A V. And what about this one? An L. Good. Okay, all of these are angle line families, okay? Now, can you write the letters of the alphabet? Yes, I bet most of you can do that easily. They're all made up of these lines right here, okay? If I were to ask you a letter that would be the angle line family, that's not the V or the L, because we just talked about them, what would you say? Think about it. If you said a capital A, you would be correct. If you said a capital E or a capital F, capital I, a W, an X, all of those are correct. Can you think of a letter that would be in the curved line family? if you said C or S or O, you would be absolutely correct. So, if you can draw these lines and these dots and these circles, guess what you can do? You can draw. Yep. So, this week we are going to make some art using what we've just learned with the circles and the lines and the dots, and I'm going to talk you through a drawing. You are going to need these three things: a pencil, a Sharpie, or a black crayon. Either of these two, you don't need both, okay? Do not use a black marker, and you'll figure out why next class period, okay? So either a Sharpie, which is a permanent marker, or a black crayon, not both. We are going to be doing our initial. You can use your first initial, you can use your last initial. And we're gonna do it in block letters, okay? We're gonna take up this big space. Now, depending on the size paper you have, whatever you have at home will work, okay? Copy paper, cereal box, Amazon box, it doesn't matter what it is, okay? If you have an old book that's about to be thrown out, get a page out of that, but get permission first, okay? Artists use anything they can find to create art on, okay? It does not have to be a clean white piece of paper. But I do want you to have it turned portrait, which is this way, okay? Straight up and down. This is called landscape. This is portrait. In the middle of your paper, you're going to write really large, and I hope you can see this, you're gonna write in pencil. You're gonna write really large the letter that you're gonna do, okay? Then you're gonna take your Sharpie or your crayon, and we're gonna do what's called mirror this line, okay? So you're gonna drop down a little bit, not draw on top of the line. You're gonna draw past it down here, and you've just drawn a mirror image of what you just did. Then you're gonna go above it and do the same thing. And I'm not touching my pencil mark. And then when I get down here, I'm gonna join these two lines together. Then I'm gonna take my pencil and I'm gonna erase, which is why you don't wanna draw it really, really dark, because you want it to go away. Okay? So pause the video for just a second and get that done. Y'all are gonna do what's called Zentangle, okay? These patterns use these basic elements of shape, but in a much more creative and interesting way, okay? When you use patterns to create art, you use repetition. You repeat a pattern over and over and over and over. You change it up. You make some dark, some light. And I'm going to upload this booklet to Schoology so that you can see all these different patterns that you can use. But they start out, let's look at this one. Peaks border, they start out with just curved lines, and then they added the angle lines in there. Then they added the circles, and then they colored them in to make them dots. And then added more angled lines and colored that in. So a very simple pattern using the elements that we've talked about, but when it's finished, it looks very intricate, very detailed. Okay, same thing down here, the zigzag border. Started with a couple of curved lines, or angled lines. Put in this triangle, put in 2 more and colored in the 3rd one, and then just repeated that pattern and then filled in the empty space. Okay, so what you're gonna do if you're in 4th grade, okay, this is for my 4th graders. If you're 5th grade, you can watch or you can skip ahead, but 4th graders, inside your letter, you're going to make a section. And then you're going to fill that section with a pattern, 1 element. So let's say I'm just gonna fill this with circles. And I'm gonna try and keep them all the same size. And I'm doing it with my Sharpie or my black crayon. No pencil, done with pencil. Okay, done. There's no huge white spaces, there's no big gaps. Maybe I will make this line a bold line, which is also part of our elements. And it helps separate that. Maybe for my next section, I'll do a wavy line and I'll just do lines. It can be as simple as that. Your sections need to be kind of small. They can be different shapes. You need to have some areas that are colored in and some that are not. That's going to help to give it balance. Okay, so you're going to do that and fill that whole thing in. Fifth grade. You're going to take your letter and you're going to do your background. So your letter is going to stay empty. 4th grade, your background is going to stay empty till next week, okay? So once you get your letter filled in, just stop. 5th grade, section off your background, and I do 1 area at a time. And let's say I'm tired of doing these swirls, but I still have all that left. Guess what? I can make this a new section. So I just finish this. And this becomes a new section. So if you try to do a section that's too big, you're gonna get really bored really fast. So go slow, take your time. You're not gonna be able to do this in 15-20 minutes. It's just not gonna happen. It takes a long time. You wanna try not repeat your patterns too many times or close together. It's gonna take a lot of thought. I want you to go and look at the booklet that I've uploaded to get some ideas. Words that are repeated can be a pattern, but don't do just words, okay? Don't draw pictures. We're doing shapes and lines, okay? When you are finished, I need these to be put somewhere where they're not gonna get messed up, where they're not gonna be folded or crumpled. And next week, we're gonna pull them back out and we're gonna add color to them, okay? So you have a whole week to work on it, to get it finished. Do not rush through it. Craftsmanship is very important. Take your time, make it look really, really good. If it doesn't look good, start again. There's no shame in that, okay? Can't wait to see how they look. All right, so I hope you had fun making those, and I can't wait to see them next week when we add color to it. So be ready with that. Make sure you put it in a safe place. Make sure you bring it back for the next lesson, okay? Hope y'all have a great week. Love you, see ya, bye.